Hello YouTube. Let's talk about paranormal aspects of nature and ancient history. Because you see, some trees in ancient Russian and nearby East European lands were never planted at home. And I also want to tell you why the Slavs were afraid of some plants. You see, in the old days, the Slavs believed that there were good and bad trees. The first were chosen for the construction of houses, for the manufacture of dishes and furniture. Others they tried not to touch because they were afraid of negative energy. Some trees were loved by people in the olden days, and some were bypassed, and let's see what modern medicine thinks about this. But you see, there were also vampire trees, aspen, which was draining strength, and willow, which attracted drowned women and suicides. Let me explain. Slavs believed that aspen can accumulate negative energy. It was called a vampire, and they were very afraid that this tree could suck all the strength out of a person without a trace, as the terrible werewolves did in those lands. Perhaps this attitude was caused by the fact that aspen leaves began to tremble even with the weakest wind. No wonder they say in Russia, "Tremble like an aspen leaf." It's a well-known saying. We all used it. Most likely people had associations with invisible spirits who quietly whispered among themselves, discussing insidious plans. In any case, the people believed that aspen has the most powerful magical properties, and you should not mess with it in any case. If you read about the distant Middle Ages, then it was the aspen stake that was used to neutralize the terrible vampire. Of course, some people believe these are just fears that have no practical confirmation. Today this is clear to almost everyone, and in the old days, when science was not so well developed, some people were very afraid of vampire trees. But try not to convince villagers in the remote settlements of some East European lands of your infinite belief that vampire stories have no practical confirmation. Even after 74 years of forced atheism and eradication of religious beliefs under communists, people in those distant villages would not agree with you. They know things that eager, progressive, and highly educated scientists do not. Even in Kiev, Ukraine, I remember seeing parts of the city, ancient parts of the Podol neighborhood, for example, where modern realities do not control. Now, someday I'll share what I saw in the dark old huts and houses among the hills of Kiev. Now, willow tree also has ill fame in the East European lands. It was said that it also is a plant with poor energy. There are opinions that this happened because willow can cause a person a feeling of anxiety. No wonder it is called weeping. Sad, lowered branches do not cause optimism and add sadness to someone who already has not too much of a cheerful mood. In the olden days, it was believed that the willow is exactly the tree that attracts unhappy suicides and drowned women, that the forest evil spirits are hiding in the sad branches, which, if desired, can look like a young and very beautiful girl. Especially easily, the tree can manipulate men, as the heavenly appearance is confusing. Or maybe it's just the soul of drowned women who have not found peace. Willow was also called a female tree. It was believed that the tired women who were in poor morale always came to the willow, and when they tried to share their grief with the tree, they received only an aggravation of all negative emotions in response. Modern researchers and doctors categorically deny such possibilities of willow. However, of course, as well as other trees, psychologists say that people who think negatively experience anxiety when looking at willow branches that hang sadly above the ground. This is all that can be attributed to this beautiful plant. Well, let's also talk about intoxicating birch cherry and poplar, sleeping under which was strictly forbidden in the lands I come from. Such trees as rowan or mountain ash and birch cherry or hackberry were also called vampires, who tried to devastate a person. Despite this, their foliage and berries were used very actively in folk medicine. This is understandable because, for example, red rowan berries are a storehouse of vitamin C. Great stuff. In those days, when there were no pharmacies where you could buy pills of this vitamin for a penny or a kopeck, they successfully treated people against colds using fruits of the rowan tree. As for the birch cherry, intoxicating properties were attributed to it. This is not surprising. When this tree blossoms or blooms, the stunning fragrance spreads quite strongly. Doctors do not recommend putting a bouquet of cherry blossoms in the room, as this can lead to severe headaches as well as negatively affect the condition of allergy sufferers. They may start lacrimation and runny nose, and some even have swelling of the nasopharynx, which is very dangerous. Poplar, which is very common in Russia, was also considered a vampire. It allegedly actively absorbed negative energy and collected negativity. A person who fell asleep under a poplar tree, for example, a tired shepherd or a traveler who decided to recover a little after a long road, a runaway peasant, a rebel, and so forth, became weak or vulnerable. It was recommended to choose other places to rest, just not under the poplar tree. Today, scientists confidently assert that poplar cannot harm people, unless, of course, they are in the thrall of self-deception and convince themselves that it is this tree that wants to send problems, diseases, and misfortunes. Poplar fluff is harmful for allergy sufferers. That's in fact this slender poplar tree can harm a person because of the allergies. But trees also help people. For example, fruit trees, and not only. And let's see what modern medicine thinks about this as well. In addition to harmful trees, there were also useful, positive ones that favored people and tried to help them. So the Slavs considered fruit-bearing trees such as apple, pear, cherry to be plants with excellent energy. Oaks and maples, pines and cedars were considered benevolent, and birch was called the best. The birch tree is still considered to be a symbol of Russia, a broad soul, so to say. Birch refers to clean, sunny trees that can share happiness and joy. Berezka in Russian. They say that it can tell you how to do the right thing in each situation, relieve fatigue, restore spiritual harmony. But if you also read, for example, Solzhenitsyn, some of the birch tree growth helped cure horrible diseases. And maybe you should read Solzhenitsyn's The Cancer Ward and look into other books as well. It's a powerful symbol for many people, and we truly feel the essence of that tree, something like an attraction. Of course, it's mostly for the Russians, but the juice of that tree is very interesting. They drink a lot of it in Belarus as well, the birch tree juice. I used to drink it when I was young as well, as did many people in the Soviet Union. I don't think you can find it in the United States, maybe some stores. It's good to be fresh. With the help of such trees, according to the Slavs, it was possible to recharge energy, improve health, calm the soul. Curiously, modern science thinks the same. Psychologists say that communication with nature has a positive effect on human emotions and psyche. And when everything is fine with the mood, then physical health becomes better. In order to receive energy support, it was necessary to communicate with the trees by energy donors. Of course, there are humans who believe that if you hug the tree trunk, and stand there for a few minutes, you can feel how the tree shares its strength. Look, I do not remember anyone hugging trees in my youth, but people did know quite a lot about the healing properties of nature, trees, shrubs, and herbs. Not only Slavs, I recall experiences in an Armenian village on the Black Sea and more situations. See, so to come down to get support in difficult situations, the Slavs from ancient times walked through the forest, meadows, tried to be near good trees. Indeed, in this case, misfortunes and minor troubles were much easier to bear. There is much more. For example, the honey that was produced in the forests of the Urals, of Siberia, Bashkiria, other lands. I'll talk about it one day because there's a lot to say. Honey, I think, is like a gift of God's to people, and used quite a lot of it in the old days. Unfortunately, nowadays it may be disappearing. But we'll talk about it in the future. If you like my research and if you can support me, please find the links in the description to this video. Please subscribe to my channel, tell others. Thank you.